Hey listeners, you're listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. Grab some tea, a midnight snack, and cuddle up in bed as we dive deep into today's most popular fantasies, sci-fi, and mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Lily.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Christy.
This season we'll be discussing the heart-pounding military fantasy that's part Hunger Games and part How to Train Your Dragon. That's right, grab your flight jacket, we're headed to Basgiath.
A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A reader without their book or this podcast is dead. Welcome to the revolution. My best advice, don't die and don't worry, we most likely won't eat our allies.
In this episode, we'll be discussing Book 2, Iron Flame, chapters 1 through 16, where Violet returns to Basgiath for graduation, and while she continues to search for answers, Violet's second year is complicated by new classes, keeping secrets, assassination attempts, and our dearly beloved Vice Commandant Varrish. It's going to be a long year.
Before we get into it, this is your warning for major spoilers ahead. This includes potentially all Empyrean series materials. We're also avid fans of the Moss universe and might accidentally let spoilers slip for other popular romantasy book series as well. Sorry in advance, like the books, this podcast is rated R, so be warned.
All right, listeners, we're also thinking about starting a Patreon and giving you access to our notes, bloopers, and extra video content and more. If you're interested, please let us know through our social media platforms. We also want to hear what you think about what we're discussing, so please share your thoughts with us. We'd love to talk to you.
Also, a friendly reminder to please like, subscribe, and follow. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube.
Last we left off, Violet's world had just been turned upside down. She learned that the mythological venin and wyvern she grew up reading about are real. Navarian leadership has known all along and is hiding it. Xaden is leading a revolution. Aetos is being rebuilt. And her dead brother Brennan is actually very much alive. Now, before we start talking about text, I wanted to talk to y'all about the dedication. It reads, "To my fellow zebras, not all strength is physical." And can I just say how talented Rebecca Yarros is with the hints that it's not outright, it's just kind of let me slide this in there. And this saying is something you hear in the medical field a lot. When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. And it's something that the chronically ill community, as well as especially women, hear from doctors. And I love that she points it out, or she calls us zebras. But not only that, every zebra has unique stripes. And I think this also points out how every person who is chronically ill is not the same. You can't do a one-size-fits-all diagnosis. I've always described managing my disease as more of an art than a science. And so what works for me may not work for my cousin who also has my disease. And I love that it's there on the page acknowledging that.
I also love that she addresses it. I mean, she has addressed it in the last book, and I think she got a lot of positive feedback for, her representation of chronic illness, because it wasn't overt. It was like a very well done explanation of how our lives are, at least for illnesses that are similar to Violet's. I was a little confused by this. I had never heard this ever, but
Really?
It does make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it took me, I guess technically it took me 8 years to get diagnosed with my chronic illness, but I've been treated for it all along, and mine does look different from other people who suffer with chronic illness in the same vein. So I definitely think it's a good way to describe the problem of, just assuming things work for everyone.
Yeah.
When you can't make assumptions like that.
I was diagnosed in my early 20s. And now that I look back on my teenage years, I realized that I was suffering from it and nobody got it.
Yeah, I also looked back on, I guess, late high school, is whenever I probably started having symptoms and didn't realize that I was having symptoms because I started going to the doctor for it right out of high school. So, same here. We just never knew, and everyone was just like, oh, she's always been like that. You know what I mean? She's always been like that. It's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you're right.
I think it is important to note that just because somebody is under the label of this disease doesn't mean that they're going to present stereotypically. And they may be able to do something that somebody else may not be able to do who has the same disease.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So into the text, we start off with a posting that I just wanted to say, Jasinia's mother?
I also questioned who was this Sorella Neilwart? Maybe a sister. It could also be a sister or like a cousin or something. I don't know.
Could be, because it's only been 6 years, so...
Yeah. I don't know. We never hear anything about Jasinia's family, but we get little snippets about her here and there, so yeah. Who knows?
Wonder if she will show up in the text later on.
Yeah.
I think she will.
Will she be on Navarre? Will she be on Navarre's side or the rebellion? Revolution.
How are you asking that question? Really?
Yeah, I was like, what? Why are you bringing this up?
That's like asking if Xaden is going to be on the rebellion side.
Because, I mean, Lilith was on Navarre's side, and the rest of her family seems to be on the revolution side. Just because their family doesn't mean that they are good. Dane and just his dad.
Yeah, but Jasinia is total rebel. Total rebel.
And the scribes, there are no scribes in the revolution. Do we know that she is trustworthy?
Yes.
I'm not trustworthy of Brittany because Brittany likes to bring stuff up because she's already read ahead. And I'm like, okay. So she's already met Sorella Neilward, and she's like, who is Sorella Neilward?
I thought we were talking about Jasinia, if Jasinia was part of the rebellion.
Oh, no. Her relative.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know about her. I'm not gonna take it for her just yet. I gotta get to know her first. Sorry.
My other quick thought was we learn in Onyx Storm the exact date of Xaden's birthday. But here, we learn that Violet slept through her birthday. And I'm like, when is it? The Battle of Resson was July 2nd. So let's say they get to Eratia July 3rd, because it's evening by the time that battle is done. She was unconscious for 3 days, and her birthday passed while she was unconscious. So
husband Jason.
Oh, Rebecca Yaros' husband. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought this was a major spoiler.
That makes me question, when is Rebecca Yaros' birthday?
April 14th.
Okay, so it's coming up, but it's not March 31st.
Of course you know that.
It's actually next Monday when we record.
Oh, that's why you know. Okay, I see.
Shout out to Rebecca. Now. Actually, I looked it up when I was looking up.
That makes sense.
When Violet's birthday was, because as we know, authors can give
a fellow Aries
their birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to make a little wager.
All right.
I'm thinking,
how the fuck are you going to make a wager when you know the ending already?
I don't know her birthday. I don't. I'm just saying, I'm going to guess July 5th. What are y'all's guesses?
I'm going to say the 6th.
Christy?
You know what? I'm going to go with the 7th.
Okay.
I could see her putting her husband's birthday in there just for funsies.
Yeah.
And we would really like to hear what the readers think. When is Violet's birthday? It's got to be within these few days. So let us know what you think.
Okay, so just for clarification, you don't already know from...
I don't already know.
Onyx Storm.
I don't already know.
Okay. So it's like, wager, really?
Well, I'm not betting any money. We'll have to just... I would not do that to you guys about...
Would you not? I think you might.
Not when I'm like, well, let's make a wager about it. I would be fair.
No, she would be like, what do you guys think? And then have us say instead, of giving her personal opinion.
Or lead us in a whole different way. Was it what was it with Zodiac? Like how you open the journal or the word, and she totally led us down the wrong. Oh, what was it?
Lancelot.
Lancelot. Yeah. Oh, Lancelot.
That was what my first thought was.
And then it was like some dumbass word.
She also does that even when you're not recording it, because I remember my first read of Throne of Glass, and she was so adamant about Rowan. She was like, I don't know if it's Rowan. And I was like, Don't
want to ruin
I don't see how it couldn't
your
be.
reading experience.
Uh-huh.
You didn't have to push me in the other direction. I never believed you for a second, though.
All right. Well, Bodhi brings Brennan a message with a blue wax seal on it. And Violet questions how many riders are in this revolution.
Didn't you say something about colors last episode, and you thought that blue had something to do with it, and now we have a blue wax seal?
We learned... Okay, so the scribes are cream.
The blue is the infantry?
Navy blue is infantry, I think. And the healers are also a shade of blue, but I'm not sure which.
I feel like the healers would be like a lighter blue color. But I also noticed the missive, and I also noticed that it's pointed out in the text.
Yeah. Someone
is here, and they don't say who it is. And he's like, hey, if you want to speak to that someone, you got to do it right now.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Brennan.
And you would think that if it was one of the 107 marked ones, they would have just been like, yeah, it's Garrick.
Yeah, or whoever. That is weird, but I don't know who it would be.
Yeah. Also in the dark, but it's an interesting thing that's brought up. But that's all I really wanted to touch on.
I wanted to point out that one of the things that I noticed right at the beginning of this chapter was I just wanted to point out that at the beginning of this chapter, when Violet kind of wakes up and she goes to see her dragons, she was looking for that bond between Tairn and Andarna with her, and she finds Tairn's, but she says that the bond with Andarna is not the same. She says, I can feel the shimmering bond between us, though it's no longer golden like her scales. And what's interesting about this is she can't get a mental picture of it. She has trouble deciding what it looks like now, and it's not black, it's not golden. It just seems like it's not clear, and it's kind of like an indicator for later stuff in the book, I think.
Yeah.
But I never noticed it before now, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's a good catch for the foreshadowing of what we learn at the end of the book.
Yeah. And I was going to say for this chapter, because they've had the chapter before that was from Xaden's point of view, and I really felt like it could have been helpful to have this chapter from his point of view too, just because with the council, you kind of at first don't like him as much, but it's because we don't know a lot of their backstory at this point.
But I wonder if that's intentional, like they don't want us to know that stuff right now.
Rebecca Yarros has said that she has to think about what scenes she can release to us in Xaden's point of view, because he is still keeping secrets and we're not supposed to know them right now.
And Violet is often used as an unreliable narrator. So it's like she likes to use Violet to trick the readers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that that's totally intentional.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, I read that her editor, the last chapter of Fourth Wing, was originally in Violet's point of view. And her editor was like, this is an info dump and it doesn't read well. And so she ended up putting it in Xaden's point of view so that it turned out better.
Ah, that kind of makes sense. That does.
Let's talk about Brennan.
I'm so ready to talk about Brennan because I have so many thoughts about this.
I have so many questions.
This man. I do too.
All right.
I have so many thoughts.
He says, after they have this council meeting, he says that he woke up on a cliffside not far from Ryerson House. Marb was hurt, and he was alone, and some other dragons came in and helped him get to the caves, which we will see later. and other villagers who survived the burning of Eratia.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And specifically listed as there are other dragons here. So it wasn't even as if other dragons from, where they are used to came in. But it sounds like there is another maybe faction of dragons or something.
Where did these dragons come from? Are they all bonded to riders who then fake their death? Are they being born elsewhere? And we're getting a lot of the beginning passages about the ancestral hatching grounds.
That's what I was going to say, was there's a passage, or maybe it's a opening quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it says, the chapter 2 opening quote is, "The valley above Ryerson House is heated by natural thermal energy from its greatest asset. That is its greatest asset. For there lie the original hatching grounds from the Dumadin line, from which two of the greatest of our dragons descend, Coda and Tairn." The fact that she notes this and the house that hasn't been breached. But the fact that there are hatching grounds there is enough to note that, there's definitely other dragons out here that we don't know anything about. And they're trying to keep secret, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I was just say they also mentioned that the Besgaeth Vale hatching grounds was originally the green dragons. And so we're getting more and more information about the dragon's life. I think we eventually get some orange dragon den, ancestral den information too.
Well, I think this just leads to that whole concept that we've got different factions of dragons that have different ideas about how they want to proceed, and that you're going to end up with a war with dragons on both sides.
And somebody did bring up, if there are less dragons bonding, are they defecting and coming to Eratia? Is that why there are less dragons bonding?
That's a good concept.
So I pointed out in some of the later chapters, I can look for it now, but Tairn is explaining to Violet why or how the first six came together to work with the dragons. And Tairn says that the bonding, at least according to what Tairn is saying, which I feel like he's leaving stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to say that the main reason that they decided to bond with humans is because the venin were coming for their babies, which we should also think about as to probably that's how women are being made, which I didn't even get into that. But the venin were the main source of threat for their babies. So he said, we decided to bond with humans because we don't have opposable thumbs to create wards or runes. By the way, Violet totally misses the fact that he says runes.
I caught that too.
And he said that both sides were lying about things, that humans were not telling the whole truth for why they wanted to have dragons, and dragons were not telling the whole truth to the humans. And because of that, there has continued to be strife between them. And later on, he seems to indicate that not everyone in the Empyrean agrees that they should be bonded to humans to fight the venin. At least that seems to be what he's saying. So he does acknowledge that there seems to be factions, whether he doesn't call them factions.
Yeah.
But it's like, it seems to be identified by Tairn that yes, there are dragons who don't think that what we're doing is right. But it does make you wonder, are they disagreeing with the fact that they're bonding with humans? Are they disagreeing with the fact that they should fight venin? Like, would they rather join the venin? Or do they think there's a better way to handle it?
I think the third option, that there's a better way to handle it without human interference. But my question is also, how long were they attempting to do that before the first six? Because they acknowledge in there that the first six were not the first six. They were just the first six that survived.
Right.
So how long were they trying to do it before?
Personally, I think it's... Okay, so humans stretched out the wards. But when they go back to their original state, Besgaeth and the Vale are covered. So I think it's more of a, okay, so we have our wards, and we're going to defend our borders, and that's all we need to do. I don't think that some of those dragons even care about the rest of Navarre. They only care about the veil being covered and having humans protect the veil.
Gotcha. I mean, maybe.
But going back to Brennan, because I definitely want to talk about the wyvern thing, but going back to Brennan.
Yes, we'll get there.
He wakes up on a cliffside alone. If Naolin died, why wasn't he there? And
where was his body?
Yeah, where was his body? Where was, why didn't Tairn retrieve him? Why didn't the Navarians retrieve him? Why did they leave Brennan's body behind if they did retrieve him? It just doesn't make sense.
Also, the fact that he wakes up on a cliffside and the griffins jump off of cliffs seems somehow related.
Could be.
I think that's interesting. Yeah, and I also have questions about Brennan in general. Like, where did the name Aesrai come from? Whose name is that?
It's Tyrish for rebellion. I think he just chose it.
Does it say that in the book?
It does. Oh, not Tyrish for rebellion. Tyrish for resurrection.
Where is that? Is that later in the chapters? Or is that in this chapter?
I know it's in this book, but
I was like, I don't remember that at all. Although, this is my maybe second or third read of this book. I don't enjoy this book as much because I didn't enjoy the fighting.
Yeah.
I like everything else.
Although I don't...
And
I don't think we're supposed to like it.
No, I mean, I'm the kind of person that when I was a kid, I used to watch my favorite part of the movie and then turn it off. I would watch up to where stuff starts to get bad, and then I would stop watching because I get secondhand anxiety. So because she's fighting with Xaden throughout the book, or she's feeling really shitty throughout the book, I kind of had trouble reading it. Although I will say on this reread, it's not that bad.
It's a lot of repeating, though. I think that's what's hard. It's the same fight over and over and over.
Yeah.
And there's not really a resolution.
Yeah.
The chapter is chapter 38. They're talking about him changing his name, and Violet says he had to. Besides, I like his name. It's Tyrish for resurrected.
Okay, I like that. But also...
Because he can't be a soaring gale.
Yeah, I still have feelings about Brennan.
He annoyed me right off the bat. The whole, did you eat enough? I wanted to punch him and actually kill him. Stuff like that just annoys the shit out of me. I don't understand. She's too stupid to understand the concept of eating enough. No, I just ate one bite and then I, starved. Thank you. I'm great. It goes along with when people offer people water. They've had some horrific accident and they're like, let me get you a glass of water. You're dying. Let me get you a glass of water. Is water magical and I don't know it? Why the fuck is that what they offer? Have you ever had a horrible experience and been like, you know what? I would like a glass of water. Thank you.
Oh my God. So...
I passed out at Wendy's. This was one of my experiences that I think was totally my diabetes. And what they did was they carried me out because I was too weak to walk and then got me a glass of water.
Oh my God. Brittany, really? Okay, so everybody except Brittany.
Oh my God. No, okay, so hear me out on this. There is a term in Korean that is meant to be a how are you doing today? I'm thinking about you, and it's did you eat today? It is a way that you greet somebody because it shows that you cared for them.
Okay, that would make sense. But I think in my brain, you're asking me if I'm stupid. If you ask me, did I eat enough? I'm like, thank you for calling me an idiot. I can fucking eat.
I don't think that was his intent.
I don't think it was his intent either.
Chrissy's like, what, you think I'm fucking dumb? You think I don't know how to feed myself?
He's being big brother.
He's also, I do understand, though, on some level, Christy's upset because on some level, it feels a little patronizing.
Yeah.
After the way that he has how he has lied to her and Like, the fact that she almost died and she's come back to life and she's like, so what the fuck is going on? And he's like, did you eat enough?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like,
I've been pretending to die.
Let's talk about that later.
I've been pretending to be dead for 6 years, but have you eaten enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do understand on some level. Oh my god.
All right. Brennan also has a rune on his palm. Potentially, I read somewhere that somebody thought it was burned into his palm, but I couldn't find that. Just a rune-shaped scar. I wrote the quote down. It says, he holds up his hand like he's under attack, and I glimpse a rune-shaped scar on the palm before he grips the edge of the table.
I wrote scar-shaped scar on my notes.
Well, that is very accurate.
You're correct. It is a rune-shaped scar. I remember now. But that's so funny. Yeah, he has a rune-shaped scar, and that's very suspicious.
Yeah.
What is it for?
Yeah.
On your hand? That's pretty intense.
Mm-hmm. And I read it.
I wonder if it's to help mending.
The thought?
Amplify it or something.
That is something I never thought about. But yes, it could be something that amplifies his powers. We don't know everything that the runes can do at this point. But I did read a theory that Brennan could potentially be like a wyvern.
What?
You know how the wyvern have the onyx stones in them that have a rune on it? That
I don't recall that.
Well, then we'll talk about it when we get to that chapter. But keep this in mind that there is a theory out there that perhaps Naolan turned and he is controlling Brennan through that rune.
That would be nuts.
Oh.
Although Brennan's doing good things. So, I don't know.
Yeah, because since we didn't see his body at the end when he was found or when he wakes up, that's a good one. I like that.
It is interesting. So, we talked a little bit about how Andarna has black scales in the beginning of the book and how she's looking different and she's growing. But in a couple of the beginning chapters, so 2 more black dragons have hatched in the last year, according to Coda. And I felt like this was a big deal because I did not pick this up when I first read through. And it's also later mentioned by, I think, Riddick, that one of the characters mentions that they see a black dragon, that they saw a black dragon. And so, even though it's only mentioned in passing, I was like, who are these dragons?
Yeah, I think Kaori says that Riddick overhears Kaori talking about a new black dragon in the Vale, which we are, I think, supposed to assume that it's Andarna because Coda said that 2 black dragons hatched, but they would still be gold at this point because they would only be 2 years old. Or did he say in the last 2 years?
It says in the last year, according to Coda.
So we know that Andarna was 2 years old and she was still gold. So
yeah,
they would still be gold, so nobody else would know that they were black. Only the Den Elder would know, according to Tairn.
I just think it's interesting because I'm sure we are supposed to assume that it's Andarna, but I just have a feeling that the way that Rebecca Yarros works, it's not Andarna.
I will say this, somebody did mention that, this book was supposed to be 2 books, and so the fact that she made it 1 kind of calls into question how much she was able to put in that was not important.
Yeah. So, I mean, you would think that she would have edited down anything that isn't important because she had to make sure it all fit in 1 book.
Yeah, and she could always add that into another book if it was something that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like this is kind of like in Harry Potter in the second one with the that wardrobe. And wasn't it? It's like book 6 that you actually see it again, but it's kind of planted in book 2.
The wardrobe in the room of requirement?
The one that was originally in that shop in
Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley.
The alley next to Diagon Alley.
Yeah, the bad one. The bad
Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley. Or that's how Harry says it, I think. Yeah, the Borgin and Burke's cupboard.
Yes, thank you.
right?
Yes, exactly. And I feel like this is a little bit like that. It's kind of dropping this hint. It's going to
Okay.
leave it there, and then we're going to find out. Because you said there's 5 books in this, 5 planned books in the series.
5 planned.
Okay, so I bet we're going
I
to see
agree with
something
you.
about this in maybe 4 or 5.
I think so too. I think there's more black dragons that are coming, which is kind of scary because I'm like, who is going to get those black dragons?
I want to try an experiment really quick. Brittany, look at the camera. Look right at the camera to us. Okay? So Brittany, is any of this answered in Onyx Storm?
Look at us in the camera and tell us, are there black dragons in Onyx Storm?
Look at the camera.
At first, I did not know what the fuck you were doing, Christy.
I was like,
Oh,
what am I doing?
I
That's
just wanted
great.
to make sure to see your face. So, but answer.
Oh.
Is there something with black dragons and Onyx Storm that references back to this?
No.
I better shift the eyes. Shift the eyes.
I never believed
Ooh.
anyway, so why did you ask?
Oh my god, that's funny.
Well, moving on, I wanted to talk about this weapon that Brennan says that they are looking for.
Okay.
Where's the quotes? It says, we're fighting right under their noses and we have a plan. Something killed off the venin 600 years ago during the Great War, and we're actively searching for that weapon. My thing is that Brennan and the other rebels refuse to do any research about this. They refuse to try to, turn on the ward stone, and they're like, weapons are the only thing that are going to win this war. So how did they know what this weapon looks like? How are they actively searching for it?
I mean, that's a great question because they love to just say it in passing and then nothing happens.
Yeah. And we see no real efforts of them searching for this weapon. And I know that by the end of the book, we are theorizing as readers that it is the 7th den. But do we think it is the 7th den? Is it going to be dragons, or is it going to be something else?
It's just weird because how long has this resistance been going on and how far have they gotten in anything besides providing weapons?
Yeah.
How long ago did Brennan supposedly die?
6 years.
Is there any chance that they are more ingrained than we realize? Maybe they've got their own scribe that's still at Basgiath that we don't know about yet?
Xaden specifically
Maybe.
says there are no scribes in the rebellion, and Imogen kind of backs it up when Jasenia shows up in the writer's quadrant. She's like, you better not trust that your scribe friend there.
That's interesting that they don't trust them because I remember that now.
Yeah.
It's just a little weird. It's a little weird. And it, again, brings me back to the point about how they really wanted Violet to be a scribe.
Yeah. And the fact that the venin are like this, the venin that fights on Tairn's back, she says, fight me and die, or join me and live beyond the ages, and you will never escape me, not when I've waited centuries. So even if they were to find this weapon, did it defeat the venin, or did it just weaken them into hiding this whole time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll see what it is, because they definitely... One thing about this book that I think is really frustrating, and we'll maybe talk about it more as we go on, is very little answers are given in this book. Even at the end, when we feel like we know more,
There's
it
so
still feels like...
many questions.
Yeah, there's so many things that we still know nothing about.
And the only thing we know about the Great War is from what we've been told from the scribes that we don't trust.
Yeah.
Could that be why? Maybe is there any chance that they've got their own type of scribe or type of history that they've got, and that they know that they've lied, they know they've cut massive pieces out, and that's why they don't trust them. Because, I mean, realistically, whatever the scribes say, like Tairn says, you take a generation or two and it becomes history, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Poor Meal has their own library, but are they granted access to it? So I'm thinking that what the rebels know about the Great War is either coming from Bezgaeth or Navarre or Poor Meal. Do we trust that they recorded history correctly?
Good point.
Too many moving pieces.
All right. So I know we've discussed this several times. I'm going to try not to bring it up, even though it permeates this book all the way through, but I'll try not to bring it up too much. But I wanted to talk about Violet and Xaden and her not trusting him. And there was something that I noticed whenever I did the timeline for the Battle of Resson. I did a timeline for Xaden and Violet's relationship. They meet, let's say, July 15th, because that's conscription day. It isn't until February, I think. Well, they have their first kiss in December, and they aren't spending that much time together. They don't have a relationship at this point. Mid-April is when they kiss again at Montserrat. And I think February, the beginning of February, is when he takes over her training. So that's the first time he actually takes an active role in her life. And then beginning of May is when they first sleep together. They have a one-night stand, and literally the next day they're like, well, we're not in a relationship, so we're going to back off. And then they don't have another, like, they flirt with each other, but they don't actually have another romantic encounter until July 1st. And that is when Violet's like, okay, we're in a relationship. Then July 2nd, she's like, we're not in a relationship. I don't love you. So how is he expected to tell her all of his deepest, darkest secrets when they literally in a relationship for one day, an official relationship for one day?
I love the fucking lengths of math that you went to make this point. It is fantastic.
My thing is, the relationship feels longer for us because we're seeing it develop. But for real, they did not have a relationship, not a real romantic relationship, but for one day.
I mean, arguably that's just not true, because the whole book is the sexual tension, them getting to know each other. That's the whole purpose of their relationship leading up. So they may not have been titled to be in a relationship for one day, but they are getting to know each other just fine throughout the whole entire period.
Yes, but do you tell your deepest, darkest secrets to all your friends?
No, but what I'm saying is, I think that that's not necessarily the case. I don't think that she should be demanding this from him.
Yes.
But I also don't think that they weren't in a relationship this whole time. I think they just weren't admitting it.
Yeah. I think the start of their relationship was when she bonded Tairn. I think that was truly the start of their relationship, because at that point they're bonded together more so than most relationships.
The second he caught her at that tree was the moment for me.
Also, you have to remember he has ulterior motives for keeping her alive. I just feel like it's unreasonable for people to be so mad at Xaden for keeping these secrets, including Violet. I think she's mad at herself. I think that she can't trust herself, and she can't recognize that she can't trust herself, and so she is taking it out on Xaden.
I think it's both sides. I think it is definitely unreasonable for her to demand everything from him from the get-go, but I also see that what Violet's been through, and I understand why she is feeling a little bit betrayed, because there's this quote that she says where she's like, Brennan's been lying to me for 6 years. My oldest friend stole all of my memories and possibly sent me to die. My mother built my entire life on a lie. I'm not even sure what parts of my education are real and which are fabricated. and he thinks I'm not going to demand total, complete honesty from him. Now, the problem is you just can't demand things from your partner in that way. That's not a reasonable way of conducting a relationship. But do I understand the underlying insecurity and her feelings there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I understand them as well. I agree with you completely. I just think that she's wrong to hold Xaden accountable for that.
I agree. I think it's a frustrating part of the book because they're both in the wrong here.
Yeah.
He should be sharing more.
He should be sharing more
be
about himself. He should. And to be on Violet's side, his whole ask me questions and I'll answer thing is bullshit. She doesn't know what to ask.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to ask silly shit.
Yes. Yeah.
He should be willing to share other things. Like, okay, you don't have to tell her about the rebellion and all the intimate details of your entire life, you know what I mean? But you can tell her, yeah, my favorite cake is chocolate cake. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, there are things that you can...
Yes.
There's a give and take here that he's being unreasonable about.
Although, now that you say that, it kind of makes me wonder, during Fourth Wing, after Montserrat, she starts asking him questions about that. And I wonder if he's trying to recapture that feeling of her being interested in
her
him.
interest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
again,
it
it can be a fun game, but she's pissed off, so it can't be fun if she's pissed off.
And the thing is, I feel like if he really sat her down and said, this is why I can't tell you this right now. Like, this is something that's going to have to build. I cannot divulge everything because it's not just my life on the line. And we haven't been together that long, or whatever the case, for that is.
But
At
Imogen
least
said
something
that
like
to her.
that would be. But that's Imogen. Xaden needs to say it. It doesn't matter
Xaden
what
needs to say
everybody
that.
else says. He needs to have that talk with, and not just a one-liner.
Yes. And I will say, I think another issue is that it's realistic in a way that is infuriating because every couple has that one thing in their relationship they just consistently fight about. And unfortunately, this just happens to be on the page. Like, I do think that in a way it is a miscommunication trope, which is frustrating to read. But at the same time, it's almost too realistic because it's like, yeah, if you've ever been in a relationship and something isn't solved the way you want, then you're just going to keep fighting about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have to say, I love the letters that he leaves for her, and I want more of them. I want to read the whole thing.
The letters are precious, and that is the side of Xaden that I like. When he started doing the ask me what you want to know, that's when I started going, okay, maybe I don't like Xaden.
Yeah, that was frustrating. I don't understand where that came from, why he couldn't just be like, yeah, I sat on my roof and waited for my dad, and my grandfather was bonded to Sigale, and...
Yeah, I think another thing that's really funny about this version of Xaden is that a friend of mine pointed this out. When you read his point of view, he's so not mysterious and secretive. He's like a goober in his POV. He's like, I don't know. It's just, I like it. I personally really enjoy his POVs because I think he's more likable. But she was like, I don't know. He's not the mysterious, like, ooh, bad boy whenever you read his POVs. And I kind of agree. But I like that.
Why would he be mysterious to himself, though?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he's not focusing on being mysterious towards Violet or like being secretive. He's just thinking about like, wow, I am so mad because she won't look at me, like blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's instead of him being like this crazy mastermind, like trying to hide things from her, he's like, God damn it, I'm so mad that I'm attracted to her and I don't want to think about this. It's just completely 180.
But he's mad because I had to fall for the one woman I can't have on the continent.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Well, he at first he wouldn't date her because he didn't want to ruin her reputation and make her be treated the way the marked ones are treated. But anyway, we get our first introduction to the first 6 in this book.
We do.
Yep. And I mean, we don't get to learn much about them, but I just want to say that I need to know more about them.
Yes.
And if there was, now that we know there was a 7th breed, was there a first 7 instead of a first 6?
I mean, it seems like that would make sense, right?
Yeah, but that's what they said at the beginning is the first 6 weren't actually the first 6. They were just the first 6 not to die. So I think, could there be even, I know we're talking about a 7th breed, but is that it?
I was just wondering if, so they've made these first 6 into basically heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But, they don't know about the 7th breed. They've hidden the 7th breed almost. And so it makes you wonder, was there a 7th that they hid?
Yeah,
was
I saw
General Jaramore.
Yeah, I like that. I liked where you were headed with that. I think that would be a cool setup.
It makes you wonder if one of them is a venin.
I know, right? Was it General Jaramore? Was he the 7th rider? When did the first 6 come into existence? Was it during the Great War? Before? After?
I don't know. It definitely opens up, again, a lot of questions we don't have any answers for.
When they're about to go out into graduation, there's this quote, Xaden shoots a glare at his cousin and we both nod. He doesn't do his friends the dishonor of asking if they've accomplished their mission as all 8 of us walk into the center of the rotunda. What was their mission?
That's like when he mentions the courier or whatever, or the person that comes back. When Brennan's like, when someone comes up to Brennan and is like, hey, that person is back. When we talked about it earlier.
I'm assuming they were all told to alert the others. But was there more to it? Was there steal the forge or whatever the thing that they need from Viscount Dakaris?
It does make you wonder.
And I couldn't remember if I asked this before, but how the fuck do they organize the death roll? At first I thought alphabetically, and then I was like, no, that's not alphabetically. And then I was like, maybe it's in order the way they died, but if they did that, they don't know the order in which Xaden's wing leader squad died, so wouldn't they go by rank? But they put Garrick and then Xaden, and I'm just like, how the fuck did they organize this damn death roll? It's really bothering me.
I honestly think they're tacked on the end because it's like, oh, and these 2 people died. I don't think it's organized at all. I think it's like by order of who dies. And they were like, oh, and they didn't come back, so Garrick and Xaden.
It's one of the things that I'm like, I need to know this. Even though it's dumb and it's not a real thing, my brain needs to know how this is organized.
To me, it's just further proof that they were like waiting for them to not come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So graduation happens. There's this confrontation between Colonel Aetos and Lilith Thorngale and the squad.
Good. I don't think I ever picked up that she is causing all of these things around her when she's angry, because just like we talked about in our 4th Wing episodes, I was like, oh, she affects the weather. Why did I never pick up on the fact that she's like creating frost around her because she's so upset? I don't know why I never noticed.
I loved this confrontation.
I think it's amazing. I love that she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I was just like, Lilith hands him his ass.
100%.
Clearly, your discretion lacks common fucking sense.
Yeah. Because it's crazy, and the fact that her daughter is sent off on this wild goose chase and could have died. She's like, what's the matter with you? This was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And surely she would have to see the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that literally the beginning of one of these chapters, either it's in 4th Wing or Iron Flame, I think it's in 4th Wing, Athbean has changed hands no less than, 11 times? And he thinks that's a good idea?
That's wild. That's actually crazy. It's just clear that she had no idea what was going on in terms of this situation with Dane. And speaking of Dane, he also gets his ass handed to him in the best way. This is one of my favorite scenes. I'm sorry, Dane. Oh, it's so brutal.
Yeah. And public.
Mm-hmm. Touch me, and I swear to the gods, I'll cut your fucking hands off and let the Quadrant sort you out in the next round of challenges, Dane Aetos. Yes, girl.
And Xaden. Clearly, she chose me. The whole Quadrant knows it. Touch her
not you.
and
It
die.
wasn't you. It will never be you. I know it. She knows it. The whole Quadrant knows it. That's so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I feel the secondhand embarrassment just thinking about it.
I know, right? So graduation happens. Xaden is sent off. The rest of them get drunk. And I just love the line where Xaden shows up and she's like, oh, alcohol and Xaden's not a good idea. Or is it the best idea?
Why did that remind me of you?
I don't
Maybe
know.
because you just love Xaden.
It could be.
Or is it the best idea?
Because I like to
you're
play.
Drunk.
I like to play devil's advocate. That's why.
He's like, you're drunk, and she's like, I am pleasantly fuddled,
but not entirely
Bitch, what?
sloshed.
I'm dead.
And this is our first meeting with the Dolores Umbridge bitch himself, fucking Varrish.
Is that in this chapter?
It is.
Oh, that's at the end.
Yeah, they get their orders.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to Samara and gets leave for every 2 weeks. She gets leave for every 2 weeks. Sigale and Tairn are not happy about it. I want to know why they thought this was a good idea.
They didn't. They didn't think it was a good idea.
Didn't understand this part at all because, I mean, the dragons are the ones with control. So they can punish Violet, but, I mean, Tairn can kill all of them if he wants to. So why the fuck would you do something like that when it's the dragons that are going to end up kind of paying the price in a way? It just seems, I don't know. It just seemed odd that that was a threat that he could actually go through with without Tairn doing something.
Yeah.
There are several times in which Tairn acknowledges that he could do whatever he wanted and see Violet punished. But to me, I feel like the dragons wouldn't allow that because that's a way to control those who are bonded.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because he could just land and kill Varrish.
I really wish he would have eaten him.
Yeah.
Gone through with that digest him alive threat.
Yeah, just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
chomp. And Varrish only answers to Pancheck, who seems to always be in the background.
Yeah.
Now that you pointed it out, I'm like, oh, he's always there.
Yeah.
And he's like, not really doing anything, like not getting the brunt of what's going on.
Oh, the way that Tara described him was that he is lazy and he's just kind of in this position to get to the next position. And his speech,
What's his signet?
Yeah, his speech at graduation kind of points it out. Our reward is getting to the next rank.
Yeah.
And so it makes me wonder,
Interesting.
is he gonna get the next rank in this next book?
I don't know. Can I also just say that Xaden being like, the anticipation is good for us, that nothing pisses me off more.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's
Oh, he's terrible.
that's a little cocky there.
Oh, he's so bad. Hate that. But also love it, but also hate it.
And I want to know how much influence Colonel Aetos has on Pancheck, on Varrish. But I am fully in the box of Varrish is a venin, and there is nothing that will change my mind.
You think
Okay.
so?
So how the other venin though have seemed interested in Violet and collecting her, and Varrish seems to want her dead. So
It's a good point.
wouldn't he, if he was venin, work towards getting her on his side?
It depends on who his master is. Because Jack wanted her dead to some degree as well.
He's a moron, though.
While he was a venin. And at this point, he is trying to get her Feathertail. And he's not necessarily trying to kill her, although I don't think he cares. He is trying to torture her into getting Xaden, which is what he really wants.
You know, it's also another weird example of potentially a venin having a dragon.
Yeah.
If he is a venin.
I personally think that happens more often than we're aware.
Yeah, it must, because up to the end of the first book, we don't even see any wyvern. So there must be some venin around. And if they're not with wyvern, they must be with dragons.
Yeah. I just gotta say, Xaden says his first goodbyes because he's a big boy. Sorry.
I don't know. Sometimes I just have these moments and they just come out on the paper.
It's okay. It makes me laugh. So
this is why our Patreon should have our notes, because there's some weird shit in there.
All right. Well, Colonel Aetos does give Violet a warning saying, "Do be careful who you share your war stories with, Violet. I'd hate to see your mother lose either of her daughters." At this point, I don't care that she doesn't trust her mom. I would go directly to my mom.
I'm surprised that she hasn't at this point. I know that they're supposed to not talk to each other. Like, that's part of the whole when she sends her off, she's like, well, I have to pretend you don't exist for the next few years. But this is a genuine, this is a threat to your life.
Yeah. From leadership with no provocation. And I just, there has to be some kind of HR that she could report him to.
Does HR ever do anything?
No.
Doesn't HR universally suck everywhere?
Yeah.
I think
even
so.
In Basgaia?
Well, HR is there to protect the company, not the individual.
Right, so I don't know if that would really do.
Yeah.
You know.
But there has to be a better HR that she can report to.
There's gotta be something.
In Violet's defense, though, I think she's probably not talking to her mom, because whenever it talks about their past and how her mom treated her, she may just already assume that she won't be believed, or that she is not going to go against someone of that high of a rank, even though she saw with Aetos her go against him and hand him his ass. I don't know.
Aetos is still beneath her, though.
Yeah, but Varrish isn't.
Technically, yes. She's still the commanding general in the military. Her rank outranks him. He is in charge. Panchek and Varrish are in charge of the writer's quadrant, but she's in charge of the school.
Yeah, but he doesn't answer to her, though. And I think Violet might be somewhat concerned about, I don't know, at that point, does she really trust her mom, though?
No. And that's why I think she doesn't go to her. But
yeah,
technically speaking, military, she's a general. Varrish is a major. Aetos is a colonel. She outranks them regardless of their position. Melgren outranks them.
Yeah, but he's kind of like one of those fixers that come in and they're not technically high up, but no, they don't answer to anybody, Because typically that type of entity in a company is they answer to nobody, and that no one can really go up against them either. They're kind of untouchable. So I kind of got that vibe from him as a character.
I can see that, yeah.
So you think Varrish is a fixer?
Yes. Because that typically people in that position have that kind of autonomy, that even though technically he's not at the same level as her overall in the school,
yeah,
usually for them you have it where they're just untouchable.
Yeah.
Just the worst kind of person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They run rampant and try to fix things and generally make it worse.
Generally.
We might have personal experience with that. We may or may not. For legal reasons, we don't.
Well, we do get our first RSC class, or as I like to call it, the torture class. and we get introduced to Professor Grady. On my first read of this, I really liked him. I thought he had good vibes. He was fair, kind, sort of in a, I'm going to torture you way. It's not like he took pleasure in the torture or anything. And he supported his students. Unlike Carr, who I got bad vibes from the beginning.
Yeah, I felt like Grady at least warned them that it was not going to be like a pleasant experience in some ways.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
Are you unsure about him?
I don't like him. I think there's something off. I don't know. It feels off. Like he's going to be that type to show support, until he stabs you in the back. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but
I also hope so.
Felt weird about him.
It's also like the class itself is just weird because they have to work with the infantry and they have to work with the scribes, and they're not used to doing that when they get basically kidnapped. And which is also just crazy that they're just like, they just grab them out of the hallway.
Yeah.
Like, what? Is this like one of those camps where that you send your bad children to? Which also I do not condone. They're insane.
Yep.
No.
I'm surprised with how many people are being, attempted assassination that they would still do this, because I'm betting a bunch of those students are on edge and, willing to stab first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of assassinations, did you pick up that there is isn't there like an opening quote from one of the chapters about Pancheck talking about how, some kids are assassinated, like some kids go in to assassinate other students. Mm-hmm. And, that happened to Mira. And it's like, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it was a note from Pancheck to General Sorengale.
I just think that is so weird that it was remarked upon by him. Who's trying to take out Mira?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was during her first year, I think, at the school.
Yeah, I was trying to find it in the notes. I thought I put it here, but maybe not.
Which is odd when you think about the fact that they've tried to take out Mira and Violet, and they are the daughters of a high-ranking official, and you would think that it would be the opposite, that they would be...
Did Bren have assassination attempts?
I bet.
Don't know.
That's an important question, I would think, but you're right, Christy.
I mean, who... Okay, so Xaden's father supposedly killed Brennan. What if it wasn't Xaden's father?
That is a good question. Although, I think it's Kaori says that while in the quadrant, they are treated poorly. But once they graduate, they're treated like royalty.
It's just really weird.
But look at all the shit Jack got away with. Like, little Jack got away with so much shit.
Little Jack.
And yet, you've got somewhat royalty there with Lilith's children. And you would think, I mean, just like when you see where, like, super rich people or, like, a sports person's
Jack was
kid.
sent. What if Jack was sent in? Because he tried to kill her from the get-go, just like that one kid.
Yeah.
Why did I never put that together? Oh my god, he tries to kill her at the parapet, which is like so random.
So
Violet had to have been sent to assassinate her.
Violet wasn't as important as she is to the venin in her second year. My thing is, so in the quadrant, they're expected to kill each other for some reason. And it's okay for them to act that way, but once they get out of the quadrant, they're supposed to act like a squad. They're not supposed to kill each other. It's not supposed to be so cutthroat once you make it to the army.
Which is so fucked up. How would you ever fucking trust the people that were trying to kill you? How would you ever create a squad that was cohesive? That is so dumb.
I agree.
Yeah, you'd think that they would be practicing trusting each other.
Yes.
I mean, that navigation exercise was supposed to be about trusting each other. And
except this whole time, they've been not doing that. So, of course, they would be like, no, you don't know what you're doing. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But yeah, you do get, supposedly, this guy maybe was paid to go in to assassinate Maybe he was convinced afterwards. We don't know. But
Maybe.
somebody did point out that Rhiannon calls him Jack Barlow Jr.
Yeah.
And Dane flinches. So they questioned, what if he knew that Jack was still alive?
I could see him knowing. Even he might not. Maybe he's not supposed to know, but maybe he knows because of his signet
Or his father.
Or his father.
Yeah, either one.
But also speaking about the parapet and our new candidates, I'm just going to say that I adore Ark. I adore him.
I say Arik, but I think it could be either.
It's Arik in the audiobook.
Yeah.
It's just
Arik Grey Castle.
hard for me because I knew an Eric that was spelled with one A, but
similarly.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I love him. I hope he is as wonderful as he seems to be. But what do y'all think?
I think he's interesting. I think he's an important character, and we haven't seen enough of him yet. I think it's interesting that they mentioned that his brother died 3 years ago in threshing. He's obviously noble, as we know. The most noble, maybe. And I'm just wondering what his role is going to be in this. Maybe the fact that he's an ally with Violet will protect her.
I think he's going to be big. I think he's going to be good. I think he definitely will be one of the main characters towards the middle to end. But no, I think he's a good guy. I get good vibes from him.
Me as well.
I'm excited.
What about Sloane?
I have a love-hate relationship with Sloane.
Same.
That's the kid sister.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've blocked her name because I just want to fucking kill her. I hope she dies quickly at this point. I hate that. Is that a trope?
She's
Is that a
infuriating.
fucking trope? The kid sister, annoying character. Because it feels tropey. Now, granted, I don't know much about tropes, but.
What is so frustrating to me about Sloane's character is that Violet doesn't just talk to her about Liam. You know what I mean? Violet allows her to be this bitchy, infuriating character. And I understand where Sloane is coming from because her brother died and she's probably going to just be angry and just take it out on people. And so on one hand, valid. But on the other hand, she is so frustrating to read. And it's another case of miscommunication where it's like, if you guys would just talk, then...
Well, Imogen tells her that.
And I think she says she knows what happened. She knows how he died. He died protecting Violet, and she's mad that Violet lives and Liam doesn't.
Yeah, but even
I just
Imogen
don't think it's that
told
simple.
her. Yeah, it's not. But that's the thing. Even Imogen, others have told her that it's not that simple and that it's not her fault. And
is grief ever not complex?
Yeah,
I agree. And that's why I say she was going to be mad at somebody, right? If that's how she's going to process it, Violet's going to get the brunt of it. It's just, I don't know, it's really frustrating because not only is she grieving and angry, but she physically takes it out on Violet. Like, she wants to fight her.
Yeah.
It's like, girl.
She's a little suicidal.
Yes, which is also like, can you please get your shit together? Yeah. Liam would be embarrassed, girl.
Yeah. Well, I get grief, but you package it up in a bratty kid, and I am fucking out.
Sorry. I mean, honestly, to give her a bit of a break, I could see her becoming a beautiful character. I could see her growth being important. Kind of like a Nesta character, where Nesta is super awful at the beginning of the books.
She is.
Damn it, you're right. Shit.
But that's what I'm saying. Sloane could be great, but she is so awful right now.
If she's going to live up to Nesta, then she has a huge fucking way to go. Because for Nesta, the fact that she went into that territory to look for her sister, I'm totally spoiling it now, but we warned you at the beginning, that she went into that territory to look for her sister by herself. That was fucking heroic. So
Brave.
She really earned that back. Now, if Sloane does something like that, then that is fine. But damn, I hate when they package shit up like this and like a bratty kid. It is obnoxious.
It's just a good commentary on how complex we are.
Yeah.
Like Brittany said.
And to be fair, during her fight, she does kind of come down off her high horse. She's got it in her head that Liam did everything on his own, and so she should be able to do everything on his own. And Imogen is like, no, Violet saved his life. Not to mention, Xaden trained him.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it on his own. He's not born this way. He trained. And so hopefully some common sense will kind of sink in.
Way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, plus two, she didn't even train to fight, but yet she's wanting to take them on. I mean, at the very least, God, if you're going to have like a vengeance dream, then fucking go for it and train. But don't, half bake it and show up and then think you're going to take out squads that have been assassinating each other for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Violet only trained for 6 months. So.
Semantics.
All right. So there's a Reddit user, What the Frenchie Does, who posted a theory about a year ago about Riddick's new tattoo. She thinks he secretly bonded to another dragon. Her reasoning is, one, that there is no room for random tidbits, and this tattoo is mentioned 3 times in the book. A lot of things are happening.
It is mentioned a lot in the book.
Yeah, a lot of things are happening, and we can't just add these inconsequential details for no reason.
So he bonded a baby, and the other black one is his? Oh!
He did mention the black dragon.
That's so cute. Oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, that
would be crazy.
That goes
I'm getting chills.
And
I don't know. I do think it's a good point that the tattoo is mentioned a lot, but it seems a little far-fetched. I mean, Riddick, I love him, but I don't know if he's really meant to be that kind of character.
Also, would Aetos allow this? After
also
he
a
spent
good question.
a year on their own, and Tairn and Andarna get along. They're like father and daughter, if not biologically.
But he was also upset that Andarna chose to bond.
Yeah, that too. But would Aetos allow Riddick, after a year of being alone with him, to permanently bond himself to another dragon?
Yeah. I just don't think that's the answer. There might be something going on with the tattoo, but I don't know about that.
Don't ruin my dream.
Say, there is a little bit of support for this, because some of it I don't put much stock into it, but when Violet shares the secret with her squad, he says the dragons know, with a S on the end, whereas Rhiannon only says Fierge does too.
Oh yeah.
And I always, I got confused for a minute about what his signet was, because he wields ice. But he also says he's a navigation god. And when they're in the navigation thing, he's like, okay, I got this. And that's when Grady's like, oh yeah, by the way, your signets are gone.
Interesting.
And so that little bit of text made me go, wait, is it a lesser magic that he's able to do that? Or is it a signet that he's able to know where he is?
He could be pulling a double signet on us like Xaden.
I mean, he could.
He could be riding a dragon that's connected to a previous family member. I mean, it could be 1,000 things, and we just have no idea.
So for Aetos, though, I think I have an answer for that. What if Andarna and this other dragon are Aetos' babies? And so that's why he wouldn't be grumpy to share, because it's his baby.
Oh my gosh.
The thing is
Andarna knows that her parents are gone.
Does Aetos have a mate? He's not a mated pair. Can they have babies when they're not mated?
Well, maybe he got drunk and he had a one-night stand. And then now he's a daddy that is stepping up to the plate and taking care of his kids.
I'm going to let Christy live this fantasy. I'm just going to let her have it.
And on that note, let's talk about another dragon, Solus, and his actions at formation.
maybe the first evil dragon that we meet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bade's not great either. But
yeah, but I would, I might say that's Jack's fault in this situation.
Well,
I don't know enough about Bade yet.
Yeah.
I'll give Bade the benefit of the doubt.
Varrish seems to imply later on that he's also controlling Solus the way Jack controlled Bade.
Yeah.
So that's part of the venin. Maybe he's with that controlling him.
That's one of my thoughts is that, yeah, he's...
So do we think Solus is like Shadow?
Is like
Shadow?
Shadow?
Yeah, from Zodiac.
Oh, yeah. Could be.
Maybe.
Could be. Although I think that he was a bad-tempered butthole to begin with.
Solus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that if he's freed that he would do good things. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Tairn doesn't like him.
Yeah.
And
Tairn already took one of his eyes.
Yeah. Can I just say that Solus going back to the Vale after burning all of those bonded cadets and having to face their dragons, I would not want to be Solus. And I hope they whopped him a good one.
Yeah, I hope they did too. Yeah.
Somebody killed
now I'm picturing
my pet.
a bunch of dragons hitting him with their purses.
If somebody
That
killed
is what a whop looks like to me.
If somebody killed my pet, I'd be like beating them with a bat. I don't know. Running them over with my car.
What kind of tail does he have, Solus?
I don't know.
Dagger tail.
And it's interesting to point out that Solus is an orange dagger tail.
Yes. And who else is orange?
Bade.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe...
Fucking orange. I used to love the color, and it is fucking ruined now.
Somebody did ask, I think, if she made the orange the unpredictable ones because orange cats are unpredictable.
No. We are not bringing orange cats into this. I take exception
That's
on
genius.
the behalf of orange cats.
Love
That
it.
is not the orange that is the problem.
Well,
That's funny though.
when she did answer that question, she did say that she did not feel that the orange were evil, just that they're unpredictable.
Okay.
But
Not
the
evil,
theory
just
still
unpredictable.
persists. But the theory does persist that orange dragons are an indicator of who is venin and who is not. All right. Let's talk about Battle Brief.
Let's do it.
I did want to ask one thing really quick.
Okay.
And I can't remember if I asked this before. If I have, just tell me and I'll stop. The amount of drag, because we're on chapter 8, right?
Yeah.
9.
Ish,
Okay.
not 8-ish, 9-ish.
Solus is 8. Yeah.
Okay. The amount of dragons has to be staggering. So if 91 agreed for this year and it's low, while you do have some die, that's a lot of dragons that won't bond again. So that means they have a huge amount of dragons to bond to that many riders every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an insane amount of dragons, right?
Yeah. I mean,
In theory.
in theory.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about Battle Brief. Lily, you noted that Markham is off.
I just said that this chapter, he's just super off his game. He's giving away the answers. He's like
Over-explaining.
like over-explaining stuff. Like he's nervous. Like what is going on with him? Is it Violet?
Do you think he knows that Violet knows?
I think he does. And I think he also wonders how much she knows about the healer quadrant, like what's going on with Jack.
I thought he definitely was giving off body language of I'm lying. And he should be an expert at that by now. And I think something about Violet knowing the truth is throwing him off.
I think he was her
Mentor,
right? Yeah. So I think that in particular, since he knows her so well and knows how smart she is, I think he's nervous because he thinks that she knows what's going on and he doesn't know what to do with that information.
Yeah. He also thought she would be easily manipulated according to her mother.
True.
My interest in this scene was Professor De Vera. In Fourth Wing, she was a captain. Now she is a major. And Lilith tells Violet that they start bringing people into the fold at this rank. So, and we do find out later that De Vera does know. When do you think she was told? Like, could it have been during that battle at Athbeen that she participated in? Maybe she saw something she shouldn't have?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we kind of discussed amongst ourselves that we kind of trust her.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
She's my favorite professor, I think.
Yeah. And so I think if she does know, she's probably very unsure what to do with the information. Like how to handle it in terms of probably doesn't want to lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like she would be struggling with that information.
Well, we do get our first indications that Violet is having nightmares and troubles, which we get to see some later on. So I think we should talk more in depth about the nightmares when we get an actual scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's interesting that it's loud enough that Imogen could hear it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I noted that Imogen says she can tell that Violet isn't sleeping well, so it's like, okay, she must hear her. So is Violet screaming?
Yeah. Makes you wonder why her squad mates who are surrounding her don't say something about it.
It does.
All right. Assessment day. The no-named first-year would-be Jack assassin literally comes up and says, did somebody say Violet Sorrengail? Nadine's like, yeah, that's me, and immediately snaps her neck.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
The first time you read that in the book, you're like, oh my god. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And
poor Nadine.
Violet has this fight with him, and she said, he leans in to whisper, secrets die with the people who keep them. And this is when she notices his eyes are light brown, but rimmed in red, as though he's on some kind of drug.
But weird that she doesn't note that he looks like a venin, because you'd think by now she would be able to catch it, right?
You'd think, but she also believes that venin can't exist within the wards.
True. So she's not looking for it. She's not thinking that they can come into the walls of Basgiath.
Yeah. Or channel.
But, I mean, it's just clear that Aetos has hired him, which is, like, absolutely fucking nuts. And when you think about who Aetos works under, and then you think about the fact that Mira was also attempted for assassination, and then it just makes you wonder, like, why are they trying to... I mean, obviously Violet now knows too much. So it's clear in this moment why they are trying to assassinate Violet. But why were they trying to assassinate Mira?
I mean, I put it along with the fact that, as Xaden says, even King Tari's second son didn't not make it, or, not be killed.
It could be that simple. It also might not be.
It just seems odd to me that Aetos, as supposedly high up as he is, would send in an assassin without making sure the assassin knew who he was supposed to kill before he got there, and not just ask around. That seems...
stupid oversight.
Wildly idiotic.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people tell Violet, oh, your hair gives you away. Your hair gives you away. We all know who you are on sight because your hair gives you away. So maybe he thought it would be obvious. But
would you leave that to chance?
It's a good point.
Yeah, and we do find out later that Violet is not the only one who is being targeted. All the other marked ones who went with her. So did this one assassin have a list and he go after Violet first?
I don't know.
I just think it's interesting that Aetos hired a potential venin.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Well, unless it was something they were doing like tests with and they infected him with, or did something to make him venin to see how far he would go, if he would be able to take her out. A little experiment.
Was he venin before he entered, or did he channel afterwards, like Jack?
And it makes you question if Aetos is venin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Violet has been working on doing some research. And we've noticed throughout this section that apparently people are getting in trouble for looking for certain books, and Violet's starting to realize that she could be in big trouble if somebody finds out that she's been researching the ward stones or researching the first 6 or things like that. So she goes to talk to Jasenia, and she's trying to be like really low-key about it, and Jasenia finds out that people want to kill Violet and is shocked. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean people are trying to assassinate you?
Yeah, that's when she sneaks into the writer's quadrant when Violet and Imogen are running. And
yeah,
she sees Markham hauling off a cadet.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really caught my eye is, if this book is supposed to be so, like, nothing mentioned is unimportant, this scene that she translates the book for Jasenia about an ancient king.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to come up later.
I definitely think so.
And I love that Jasenia was smart enough to come up, or like to realize there was something wrong on her own and didn't go with it.
Right.
I love her character.
Yes, that's kind of what I wanted to get at, is that Jasenia she realizes something's going on and just completely stops marking down that Violet is looking for things, even though it's totally against what she's supposed to do. And had she started marking it down, Violet definitely would have gotten caught already.
Oh yeah. Would have been hauled off last year when she asked for the Fables of the Barons. Which again makes you question, how did her dad get a hold of this book?
Yeah. And Tairn says he doesn't know anything about the research, but then Andarna's quiet when Violet's like, did you know?
Yeah, about the feather tails.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I do have to say this real quick. So Bodhi is escorting Violet to Tairn, and he's like, second time someone tried to jump me in the bathing chamber, and I defended him off while naked, and all I got was a bruise. And I wanted to be like, Bodhi, maybe they were just really into you.
Oh my god, I hope not, because that would be so creepy. That would be like assault, literally.
I mean,
it's literally sexual assault and physical assault. That's bad.
What if they were just trying to come on to him and he thought they were assassinating? I mean, the boy's hot.
Messed up. I will not condone this.
I also got really upset with Varrish when he was like, oh yeah, first year nearly did you in. You must be so embarrassed. But then again, you're rumored to be fragile. And I was like, and how many challenges has she lost? How many assassination attempts did she survive? She went into battle as a first year and lived when a third year didn't? Excuse me?
It's also so infuriating. They just dump out her pack every time he's like checking her. I don't know why that's so frustrating to read.
Is it every time?
The idea.
But I thought the second time that because the first time one of them gets upset, like, did you really have to do that to the one that just dumps it out and leaves it? But didn't the second time, weren't they a little bit nicer about it and they put it back for her?
They're nicer about it, yeah, but they still search her pack. And the fact that she's being searched every time is frustrating. And
well, they have to, but
they don't have to.
Well, they do. Those two people have to because they're under Varrish, yeah. But I don't know. I could see people like that, like on her side eventually. But I thought that was kind of a nice part of it where the one person was blatantly frustrated the first time when the other one throws everything out and leaves it. So they put it back for her, which is nice. No?
I mean, it is nice. I just think that these two people are an example of why you shouldn't just blatantly follow orders.
Yeah.
And it gets them both killed in the end.
Yeah.
But
true.
I do want to talk about literally Varrish. I've only had one other character that I just viscerally hate with a passion. Like, I remember sitting in the back of my high school class reading the 5th Harry Potter book and hating Umbridge.
Oh, Varrish, yeah, she's so hateable.
Yeah, Varrish evokes that same feeling. I mean, maybe it's not as intense, but very close.
Yeah. I think we should end the episode talking about what he does to her at the end, probably.
Well, Violet goes off to see Xaden. They do have, a very nice, lovely, intimate moment, and I loved it.
Yes, and he explains to her how the ward stones work, and he also explains to her the imbuing of the daggers and stuff like that, which you can go back to the book and read. It's a little confusing. He says they have to be imbued, but he doesn't explain the imbuing, but that somebody has to pour power into that thing.
Yeah, he does say only a few writers can do it. And it did bring up some questions for me, which, we can't answer, but I'm going to say them anyway. But does it mean that if you stab a venin, it loses all power and you can't use it again until it's imbued? Or, how long do the daggers last with the power when they're powering the wards? Does it take a concentrated power to keep the wards going, and that's why they can't fight with them as well? Or, can they fight with them while having that concentrated power?
Yeah. All good questions.
Hopefully we'll get some answers soon, eventually. But Violet does come back, and she is called to her training grounds where Carr and Varrish are waiting.
Ugh, this fucking shit is absolutely infuriating. The way that they make her do this shit, and the fact that nobody comes and steps in and stops it.
Yeah. And the fact that he very nearly kills her. And he's just like, whatever. And Carr's like, oh, but we can't waste the signet. Not to mention the fact that we're killing a person.
I don't understand what, in this moment when you're reading the book, I'm not quite understanding what Varrish is intending to do here.
He wants Andarna.
Besides just torture her.
He wants Andarna.
Well, he does want Andarna, but he also wants Xaden. So I'm wondering if he's testing whether or not Xaden can feel her pain.
But what I don't understand with this part, and it goes back to the dragons again, is it not a danger for Varrish's dragon if Andarna is discovered as a baby? I don't understand why he wouldn't step in. He wouldn't do something to discourage him trying to see Andarna then, because he would know she's in a fragile state. He would know that that's something that the humans could find out. And they've kept it secret for so long, and blatantly his dragon has not told him about the babies. And so I just, there's some of that I don't understand. I would love to see a point of view almost from Varrish just for that aspect of it.
Or maybe he does know about the babies and they're keeping him from the babies.
You talking about Varrish?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it gives credence to the fact that maybe Varrish is actually controlling Solus.
Yeah.
Maybe he can't make Solus tell him everything, but...
Also the fact that Andarna is supposed to be asleep, and this continues to wake her, and it has lasting consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't know that, but, I mean, what if he does? What if Varrish does know, or is aware of some part of the fact that Andarna is a juvenile, and he's not allowed to see her, and that's why he's insisting that she be presented?
That's a good thought. I wrote down here, Tairn calls him a barbarian. And then immediately after that, he said, I don't want to submit her to testing or anything barbaric. And it makes me wonder, I've theorized that venin have signet-like powers. What if Varrish had a intrinsic-like power?
Possible. It seems that the thing about the intrinsic signets is we know that they can work in weird ways. They don't have to just be mind reading.
Yeah.
Like whatever the fuck.
Especially if this power is from his venin power and not his dragon power, because we do know that his dragon signet is something else.
It's like his dragon signet is like detecting weakness or something, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Varish. Yeah. One thing I will say is the scene where they are taken for RSC?
RSC.
Yes, RSC. Is that Aya, EYA, is like pointed out, in a couple of scenes, so I'm wondering if we're going to see that character again. I don't know.
She dies.
She dies?
Mm-hmm.
You can tell I haven't reread this book a lot. Poor girl.
I just really quickly want to talk about the elixir that they give them for RSC.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely should.
I wonder who developed it. Yeah, I wonder who developed it. I've mentioned before, it does bear an uncanny resemblance to the poison that Violet encountered during the Battle of Resson.
Yes.
But they're literally using this experimental drug on kids without their consent. And, Grady says the dragons hate it too. So who have they been given this to before? We're obviously led to believe it's for Jack and that it was developed for Jack. But was it?
It's a good question. And does it work on venin powers?
Yeah.
Because if it does, then could Brennan replicate it?
Yeah. I mean, Violet says she got it, the antidote, she could probably if she got a hold of it, she could probably replicate it. But it just...
Interesting.
It just makes me wonder, why was this developed?
Yeah.
And how long... Yeah, how long did it take them to develop? Was this developed for venin, or did they actually do it to control their riders?
Yeah.
Could it be developed from venin?
There's the question of, did the venin develop it first? Or did Navarre develop it and the venin stole it? Or are they two separate things? Just so many questions about this elixir.
I'm talking about, are they experimenting on venin?
They're definitely experimenting on Jack. So who knows how many other venin they've tried
the
experiment on.
I don't know. The whole venin thing feels like some sort of, like something that originated with them, that maybe they were experimenting and making little monsters, like, what's his name? Vard from Zodiac. And maybe the monsters, some of them got free.
They definitely could be. I mean, you gotta wonder who taught Jack how to channel. Who taught this first year how to channel?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Okay. We will end the episode there. We hope that you'll join us for next week's episode, and we'll be discussing Book 2, Iron Flame, chapters 17 through 36. New episodes drop every week, and don't forget to check out last season's discussion on the Zodiac Academy series, available now.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. That like and follow are super important for us to continue to bring you new episodes each week, so please, please, please do so. Thank you for listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. We'll see you next week.
Happy reading, listeners. Don't stay up too late.